Well, looks like Seth Rollins is going to win Money in the Bank. That's not a prediction. That's not a spoiler either. It's one of my assorted thoughts on the June 2nd, 2025 WWE RAW. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. I'm recording this Tuesday, June 3rd. It's about 11 p.m. Eastern. I just recorded the SmackDown review that probably came out before, hopefully. So one thing I got to say about this Raw, and I guess, Raw in general, but this Raw in particular, is they did a really excellent job of weaving a story throughout the show. They do this often, but this is, I guess, maybe a shining example of it. After we found out that Michael Cole lost a bet, we started off with CM Punk. He did his usual great promo work, putting over the crowd. He made I think it was a Pat Patterson reference of banana, because Pat Patterson used to always say they're going to go banana. So I don't exactly get that reference, but there were guys in banana costumes. Maybe that's something to do with the basketball team. Not really sure, but he was pure Punk. Great as always. And then Sami Zayn came down, kind of surprisingly, because you don't expect, like baby faces to be interrupted by other baby faces. I was wondering where are they going with this, but Punk was totally cool with it. And then Sami, he basically said what I think we were already thinking. Like I was sure that if CM Punk qualified for Money in the Bank, he would take out Seth Rollins. But if the other two guys were there and Punk didn't qualify, Seth Rollins would end up winning Money in the Bank. So that's really what this match was about. I didn't think Punk would necessarily win Money in the Bank, though he would be a very interesting multiple-time briefcase holder. He's already, I think, cashed in twice. They made that clear. So Sami laid out the stakes, and Punk is not against maybe cashing in on Jey Uso if he won, but he's definitely more focused on John Cena. I think if we could get Cena Punk at SummerSlam in MetLife Stadium, which is the exact same stadium where WrestleMania was, where Punk was denied his main event against Cena, I think that would be very poetic. I think Money in the Bank would be a way to get there, but obviously that's not going to be the way. So yeah, Sami laid out the stakes. It makes sense. It made perfect sense storytelling wise. He doesn't want Seth to have the Money in the Bank briefcase, because he could deal with Jey Uso as champion. He could deal with CM Punk as champion. He'd obviously challenge CM Punk, but he does not want Seth Rollins to be a champion, because that would be the destruction of everything. The way John Cena says he's going to, ruin wrestling, Seth Rollins wants to control Raw and ruin it that way. So perfect stakes setting. Continued throughout the evening. There was a somewhat strange backstage bit with Paul Heyman trying to intimidate AJ Styles, of all people. You'd think he'd want AJ to win because he knows that Punk gets under Seth's skin and AJ doesn't. There was, of course, the match Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed versus main event Jey Uso and the World Heavyweight Champion and Sami Zayn. And we got Sami Zayn doing Jey Uso's entrance with him. Honestly, if I was tag teaming with Jey Uso, I would not want to do my own entrance. I would want to do Jey's with him. That must have been really fun. And we got treated to a really fun dance from Sami Zayn, dancing to Jey's music. He's got moves. I didn't know he had moves. I love this part of the show. Paul Heyman comes out. We hear, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Heyman comes out. And then just the other two guys come out. At least they got both their Titantrons, because I really like Bronson Reed's Titantron. This group really needs a name. Sidebar, this group really needs a name. Match was good. And of course, Jey and Sami were going to win. And they ended up winning by DQ because, they were attacked by Seth Rollins. And then, of course, CM Punk comes in. Even though Sami said, save yourself for your match, CM Punk comes in to defend his friends, take out those guys. Seth's plan was in fruition. We got some really interesting backstage segments. We got Jey Uso talking to Gunther. Gunther basically telling him you're too nice a guy. We got Karrion Kross telling Sami Zayn he's not really a nice guy. And then we got the match, the Money in the Bank qualifier, the final one. CM Punk versus AJ Styles versus El Grande Americano, who Chad Gable had plugged earlier in the evening during a commercial break. It was a good match. A lot of back and forth, some good spots. But of course, watching this, I knew that nothing was going to happen until the interference happened. and then either Punk was going to be able to defeat the interference, or sorry, Jay and Sammy were going to be able to defeat the interference, or they weren't. And they weren't. We got the interference, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. They did take out Punk, who looked like he was going to win. Of course, Sammy and Jay come down, take them out. And in the melee, when they're down on the ground, El Grande Americano pins AJ Styles 1, 2, 3, advances to Money in the Bank. And his weird carnival music comes on. But then, of course, Punk's irate. He's attacking. And then Seth Rollins comes in. And we end with Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed, after giving Punk a tsunami, standing tall over Punk, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso. So I said at the beginning that I think this means Seth Rollins is going to win Money in the Bank. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to do a prediction video. At this point, though, I think it's going to be Seth Rollins, but I'm hoping for LA Knight. That's the guy I'm hoping for. I don't think it's going to be El Grande Americano, because he, quote unquote, him and Chad Gable are each fighting in matches that day. So basically, Gable is doing twice. And the other, I talk about that in the prediction video, but my thought going in was that if Punk is in the match, that's going to throw Seth Rollins off his game. Seth Rollins isn't going to win. Otherwise, Rollins is going to win. And then we have Jay and people in the main event match, 2 champions in the main event match the same night. After we get 2 world champions in a main event match the same night that following the men's Money in the Bank winner getting the briefcase. So also last year, Drew McIntyre wasn't so successful. I have a feeling Seth might be successful on his cash in. But you know what? That's what I'm supposed to think, because Seth Rollins is becoming the major heel on this brand. And I think if he really wants to be a total heel, though, he has to lose the music. You notice he didn't have his music at all tonight, so nobody even remotely cheered for him. If he really wants to dedicate himself to the part, he's already done that, but he should just lose the music. Say like, nope, you don't get to sing along to that anymore. Anyways, really good weaving of the story throughout the night. My favorite match of the night, though, was the other qualifier match for Money in the Bank. Stephanie Vaquer versus Ivy Nile versus Liv Morgan. Now, this was an excellent match. We had the Devil's Kiss spot from Stephanie almost right away. After I saw Charlotte Flair do that, I think Charlotte was trying to steal that move. But you know what? It's Stephanie's move, and it's a really exciting move, and she originated it. So I'm glad she's sort of like basically claiming it, making sure everyone knows it's her move on the main roster. Going into this one, I was thinking like, okay, Ivy Nile is obviously going to take the pin. I thought Stephanie Vaquer was going to win and actually probably win Money in the Bank. Again, my prediction video on that one. But I thought Liv had a chance. Of course, you can't really beat Liv 2 weeks in a row. But Liv would have been an interesting choice, but it made way more sense for Stephanie. Of course, Liv put on a great show. There was like a Tower of Doom spot at one point. Again, Liv's reactions are great. And yeah, very impressive. Stephanie Vaquer, one queen. There wasn't interference. I thought maybe Roxanne was going to come out and screw up and there would be some interference, Judgment Day stuff. But no, there wasn't. Stephanie won clean, and I'm glad for it. And speaking of Stephanie Vaquer, who I think I called Vaquer just now. No, it's Stephanie Vaquer. I got to get it right. Honestly, she's got star written all over her. I love her entrance, her look, her in-ring innovations, like Devil's Kiss, stuff like that. She looks like she belongs in a WWE ring. When they had the interaction with her and Rhea backstage, it looks like that's going to be the main event at WrestleMania. I could see her versus Rhea for a championship. Apparently, she was originally given the choice to either go to NXT or the main roster. She chose NXT. That's fine. And it looked like they weren't going to call her up. They called, obviously, Roxanne was going to be on the main roster, Julia, but she was still NXT Women's Champion. They gave her that little trial match with Io, and it was so good that obviously there was a big call to have her on the main roster, and I'm really glad she is. I'm very excited to see where this goes. Welcome to Raw. Welcome to the main roster, Stephanie Vaquer. Speaking of the Judgment Day, sort of, we had a bit backstage with Liv and Finn talking about Roxanne, and basically Liv letting Finn know that she doesn't trust him. Liv is quite wise to all of this. So she knows she was brought in to create a breakup in the Judgment Day, and maybe Roxanne's going to create another one. We'll have to see where Dom goes. Speaking of Dom, it was really nice to see him wearing a Carlito t-shirt. I mean, Carlito is their was their colleague for several months, almost maybe over a year. And so obviously they're going to miss him, and yeah, pay tribute. I'm sure he's a champion now in Puerto Rico. He might be taking over his dad's promotion. I'm wondering if that little skeleton thing behind Liv and Finn had anything to do with Carlito. I don't know. It's also very classy of them not to have anyone playing 2K25 because that was kind of Carlito's thing. And the reason Finn and Liv were talking about Roxanne was because she interfered in the Judgment Day match against the War Raiders. And the Judgment Day beat the War Raiders. By the way, Valhalla was also released. So, I mean, her husband's Eric, but I mean, she hasn't been on for a while. She had another kid. So again, be good to see her back at some point. All the best wishes to her, Carlito, and R-Truth. There were some R-Truth chants in the crowd throughout the night. Anyways, back to this. Yeah. The match was solid. I mean, New Day were at ringside. They eventually got kicked out, but Roxanne interfered, and that caused Judgment Day to win. Maybe if Judgment Day splits, they're going to go back to being a tag team instead of a faction. Who knows? If that is the case, then I'm okay with them, winning the tag titles. If they're still a faction, then it's kind of weird them having the tag titles. The Raw tag team scene really needs to get at least closer to where the SmackDown scene is. But still, it was a decent match. And Kairi Sane keeps racking up the wins. Last week, it was against Liv Morgan. This week, against Raquel Rodriguez. But of course, the important thing here is that not only is she now pinned both members of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Io Sky interfered. So I definitely think they're going for a feud between Io Sky and Kairi Sane, Damage Control, versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I guess Judgment Day for now. Now I'm definitely into this feud. I think this is great. I was thinking they were going away from the whole Damage Control thing, especially having Kairi do her whole pirate gimmick coming in, with the coins and the little spyglass. But you know what? I mean, maybe they aren't going to wait for Asuka to come back. Even though Io's champion, maybe they're going to do the feud anyways. Io could theoretically be a double champion, or the Money in the Bank winner could cash in on Io. And instead of doing the singles push, they're both in a tag team. I mean, it is kind of weird because they're definitely pushing Kairi in the singles direction. And Io's the women's world champion. She's obviously a singles star right now. But now that they've been significantly pushed, maybe they can become tag team champions, or at least feud for the tag team championships with Liv and Raquel, because Io Sky and Liv Morgan are both, top tier, like A-list talent. And Raquel and Kairi are kind of like upper mid card, but in the tag team situation, that works. So, I'd definitely be interested to see where that goes. Or maybe Asuka's going to come back and that's going to be the tag team. But I think, what? I'd definitely be interested to see a tag team match between Io and Kairi versus Liv and Raquel. And I'm not exactly sure who would win, but I guess that makes it even better. Also, it's nice that Kairi won with the insane elbow. We had a video promo from Becky Lynch. Lyra Valkyria came to the ring, called out Becky, didn't let her talk, cut a great promo on her, but honestly, the crowd started what chanting her. Now, I don't mind the what chants if it's against like a hated heel like Logan Paul, someone you want to make them shut up, or if you're working with them like Jey Uso's yeet chants. You could do like, if they're encouraging it, that's fine, but they weren't working with her, they were working against her, and eventually she won them over and got them to stop, but she shouldn't have to do that. Overall the crowd was fine, but the what chants really, I think it was really out of place here. But I think Lyra's doing great. I think this feud is definitely continuing. I think Becky's really helping her with the feud also by being the whole, they're playing on the whole Becky Hogan thing that people have said about Becky Lynch, which isn't really accurate. But yeah, she does have some creative control, but she's clearly helping out Lyra, and that's what she wanted to do. I think at some point, I think Becky might win at Money in the Bank. Again, my prediction video. But I think Lyra's going to be fine. I think Bayley might come back into this at some point, and we'll see where we go from there. But still, this is definitely a good feud. Becky and Lyra, they're going to be on two different PLEs, and they're at WrestleMania. And it feels warranted. So I'm looking forward to see where they go with this. But guys, enough with the what chance on Lyra Valkyria unless she encourages it. And these were my assorted thoughts on the June 2nd, 2025 WWE RAW. Now, like I said, I love the threading of the main storyline. I love the emergence of Stephanie Vaquer on the main roster. Some interesting stuff with the Judgment Day. There were scattered R-Truth chants during the Judgment Day match that kind of made sense. During the triple threat for the women's Money in the Bank really didn't make sense. But at the end, apparently CM Punk, I guess they got up off the ground, to wish the crowd good. Because whenever they do these shows live, they get beaten up, but then the heels leave and then they come up and they talk to the crowd. And CM Punk apparently said, "How dare you chant for someone who's not here? Think about it. You'll get it on your way home." Like funny stuff. But yeah, so there was some "We want our truth." So who knows? They might reverse that. But again, overall, very solid episode of Raw. Looking forward to Money in the Bank. Did you agree with my assorted thoughts? If you want to know what I think about the whole R-Truth thing, check out my SmackDown video. I might release that separately. But again, do you agree with my assorted thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. And on Blue Sky, jasoncmclean.bsky.social. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications for all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos, wrestling opinion pieces, and assorted thoughts on SmackDown and Raw. I am going to try and get a prediction video out for Money in the Bank. Whether I do or not, I'll definitely see you for my assorted thoughts on SmackDown. For Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.